Well, today we're chatting to Anna Dawson, who has taken a turn in her golfing journey. You've turned pro. What about that?
Yeah, so I turned pro start of this year, which I'm really excited about. So I went to LET Q school at the end of last year, kind of not knowing if I was going to go pro or not. So I was hoping I would turn pro, but obviously, you need to see how things go, and I didn't want to kind of go in there and turn pro and then shut off all my options for this year without kind of knowing how that would play out. So once I got through first stage, which ended up being a bit closer for comfort than I kind of hoped it was going to be, I knew that was going to give me enough status to be able to commit to turning pro and having enough events to play well this year.
Well, we've had a fantastic platform for your golfing career. You attended college in the USA. Just quickly, just tell us a bit about that, what you did.
Yeah, so going to Memphis was such a big learning experience for me. Obviously, you go from being, I don't know, big fish in a small pond over here, really small pond, and then you're just thrown into a school that's almost half the population of the Isle of Man in somewhere in America that's not touristy at all, and it all seems very real. But I had some really big experiences and I learned a lot. I think just kind of it's when you start to learn to travel more by yourself and having the independence of not having mum and dad on your back being have you done your schoolwork, you need to be here, you need to be there. So yeah, definitely kind of growing up a little bit, quite a lot really in that time. And then got some results under my belt playing against a complete different group of girls who I've not met before. So it's new people to test yourself against and see kind of where you're at in the amateur game and against other people. And once you get a couple of good results behind you, it's really reassuring. And then I think it's quite easy to get confidence from there.
So you'd be travelling around with a team and playing at different courses around North America, and you'd be coming into contact with players of all kinds of standards. I'd imagine some are really exceptional.
Yeah, so I think we went to, I think it's crazy how many different states I've been to there now, but we went to the two biggest tournaments. They have one in Texas called the Gym West, and then they have one at Augusta, not national, but the Augusta Uni, which is literally across the road, and they have that the week before the Masters, and they were the two biggest tournaments. So you've got the best players from college golf all over America coming to play in these tournaments. And they were the big ones where you kind of you get a really good idea of where you're at. And I played them they were free tournaments altogether. And that was where I kind of started to be okay, if I'm competing at this level, I wasn't necessarily winning them, but shot a good few scores in them tournaments. And it was just good. It's just good measure, really.
So you had 3 years was the course?
Well, 4 years, but with COVID I kind of didn't end up doing a year. It was online, so I didn't actually get to compete in that time.
So with that experience behind you, and then last year things seemed to move up to another level, so you had a good performance in some competitions away in the UK, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Last year was my best year by far, and not out of the blue, because I knew that I was obviously always capable of shooting them scores and playing how I did, but obviously being able to do it when it matters is another thing. So I think getting the season kind of started as quickly as it did, it was actually my first tournament in 10 months, and I went out and shot 4 under, 8 under, course record to win by 8 against some really good England international players after what had been the most challenging week definitely of my life with my dad earlier in the week. But that was just such a big confidence boost. From there it kind of just changed my whole perspective of the year. It went from being okay, I want to play in these tournaments, no, I want to win them tournaments too. So that definitely set the tone. And then I also won, although I shot an 8 under, I realised on hole 14 that I was going bogey free. And then as soon as you realise you're going bogey free, you know what happens, you make a bogey. So I didn't have my bogey free then, but later in the year at the West of England in round 2, I shot a 6 under, and that's when I had my first bogey free round. So that was another good confidence boost, finished second. And then I won the Faldo series in Wales against the boys, and it's been a while since I played against, you know, the guys like we used to at Peel, so that was always pretty nice as well.
So let's look at the Faldo series. That is something that has been around
Yeah.
for many years. It's prestigious, and of course it's got, you know, a big name behind it. So just tell us about that. Tell us about how that finished out, really.
Yeah, well, that was actually, I played it knowing that the final they hold out in Dubai was the month before Q School, and I was kind of just looking at the schedule and was like, I'm not going to have anything to play for like 3 months because the amateur stuff ends in August and Q School is in December. So I was like, oh, I mean, I'll just, you know, go give it a go. Hopefully if I can win, then I'll get to go play in the final and it'll be good prep. And then obviously I won, so I got to go to the final. And then I was a bit kind of anxious before I played. Not anxious because I knew I was playing well, but I was like, I hadn't played a competitive round in a couple months. I was like, we'll see how it goes. And then I shot 6 under bogey free first round. So yeah, that was like really good, but it definitely gave me a little target on my back for the week, and everyone was obviously trying to catch me. But yeah, obviously managed to get that over line and win the girls and meet Nick Faldo and meet his caddy as well. She came in and gave us a talk, and it was just like a really insightful week, and it was amazing. And then with on top of winning that as well, it got me an invite to play in the Asia Grand Final, which unfortunately I can't play now, I've turned pro, but it does also get me an invite to play in another Ladies European Tour event, so hopefully that will just kind of like boost up the schedule just like a little bit more as well on top of the category I've earned.
So you talk about Q School, that is qualifying, and that is giving you the launch pad into taking part in professional events.
Yeah.
Just give us a flavour of really what lies ahead.
Okay, so I earned category 16 at qualifying school. So yeah, I mean, it's really hard to predict about how many tournaments I'll get and everything, but what they said, they did an intro at like the start of final stage, kind of what got what last year, and obviously it was still COVID, so it is tricky, but I think the last person who finished in my category got a minimum of 14 events on the European Tour, so I'm hoping obviously I can just get what I can and then go and take advantage of them tournaments and yeah, just do as well as I can and not end up at Q School again next year would be a pretty good year.
So we're in January. When are we going to see you on the starting block, so to speak?
Yeah, pretty soon, end of this month, 27th of Jan, I'm flying out to Kenya, so that's the first event of the season, so I'm playing that, starting on the 2nd, finishing on the 5th, so yeah, magical Kenya Ladies Open, it's going to be my first professional event, debut on European Tour, so starting pretty quickly, yeah.
So Anna, when you're teeing it up in your premier events, these professional events, what's the build-up going to be like? How soon are you going to be getting to the competition, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm actually going to Portugal on Monday for like 12 days just to do some prep. Yeah, just get some warm weather practice in, get some much needed short game practice done. And then I'm going to fly back on the 26th of Jan to England, and I'm flying back out to Kenya on the 29th. So yeah, the travel to Kenya is quite long. It's like, I think it's free flights, so it wasn't easy to book. So I think it's literally like leaving on a Sunday night, and then we'll get in Monday at like, fly through the night, get in about Monday morning at 9, and got to travel to the golf course, and then practice rounds like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then tee it up Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, cut, and then Saturday, Sunday.
And of course, when you're playing down in Africa, things are slightly different, aren't they?
Yeah.
The texture of the grass and
Yeah,
temperature, and
there is a lot to like adjust to, which you don't kind of realize. Even in Spain, like it was different grass, like it's a different style of golf, and you know, it's small things which kind of add up. So I mean, I was looking at the weather for Kenya, and I mean, it's 30 degrees, which is nice, but it's also like 70% humidity, so...
But I'd imagine that your time in the States, you will have been in similar conditions.
Yeah, Memphis was really humid. Like, every time we went back in August, it was, like, going to practice as early as possible, just so that you didn't have to be out there in the middle of the day, which is not obviously something we normally have to deal with here. But, yeah, it definitely prepares you for it. But we had girls on the team from Florida, and even they would be like, this is so hot. So I don't think it's something you maybe ever kind of like become like get completely used to, but I guess it's something the more you practice in it, it gets maybe a little bit easier. So
this stint in Portugal, which will be very nice, because although the Isle of Man is beautiful and look how fantastic it is today in the sunshine, it can get a little cold, and it can make practice a little bit tough, can't it?
Yeah, especially more so like when you hit balls, that's not too bad, you warm up and it's, yeah, you're moving, but it is putting I need to practice on, and doing that when it's cold out, you struggle to get warm. So yeah, no, it'll be good. I think it's going to be like 19 degrees, so not tropical.
So what will your average day be like in Portugal? What do you do?
So I haven't actually gone away before and kind of done practice like this, but I mean, I imagine I'm going with Will, so he's also a pro, that's my boyfriend, so yeah, we'll be doing a lot. I think probably most days I imagine we're going to try and get out on the course, get used to like playing again, not on temporary greens and stuff, and then yeah, just probably like, you know, range work in the morning, go play some, short game in the afternoon, and then fitting in gym sessions every other day or so. So it'll be quite intense. As much as it'll be nice to be there, it'll be busy.
And if there's one aspect of your game that you'd like to improve, what would that be?
Putting, yeah. So I played really well at Q School. Like, I hit the ball really good, hit a lot of greens, but definitely that's where I left the most shots out there. So it's a big focus for 2023 to improve it.
Absolutely wonderful. So tell me, things like, you know, nutrition, diet, is that on your mind all the time?
It is, but maybe...
I mean, you've not touched the biscuits
yeah,
yet.
you know, I'm being good. I think it's different to what you'd expect though. I will be aware of it at tournaments, but most of the time I'm trying to be aware of like making sure I'm eating enough, because you do so much. Like, it's actually hard to eat enough to, like, you know, keep up with what you're burning. By the time you've got up and you've like went and practiced and then went and played around, like if it's like at Q School, we would go practice, we'd go play a practice round, we'd come back in, we'd do some more practice, and it's a really, really long day. And yeah, a ham and cheese sandwich on the course ain't gonna do it. So yeah, most of the time I'm just trying to making sure that I'm eating enough.
Lovely. And you're kind of following in the footsteps of, we had Jackie Crow, didn't we, and Emma Harris. So I think you're in a good position. You've got a good background. I think with, you know, the opportunities ahead, you're on the tour, so you're guaranteed so many events, aren't you?
Not necessarily guaranteed, because if everyone who has a better category enters, then I won't get in. But I mean, obviously I have got into this first one, and it is a strong enough category where it should hopefully get me into enough. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, anyone out there watching would like to follow Anna, it'll be on the sporting websites and what have you, under the ladies golf and what have you. And if everyone wants to get in touch and help with support, I'm sure you'd be willing to discuss anything, because it's quite difficult, you know. There's a lot of travel and expenses, isn't there?
It is. It's a big step up as well. Obviously, you got all the travel and all the planning that comes with that. And yeah, when I've just been used to hopping in my car and either getting on the boat or just driving up and down to a tournament, there's a lot more to kind of like go with that now. And yeah, even the planning of it's tricky, because you don't know where you're going to be week to week, if depending on what tour you're playing. But I mean, once I go to Kenya on the 27th of this month, I don't think I'm going to be back in the UK until middle of March, just going tournament to tournament. So it's quite a lot.
But when the summer commences in the UK, you'll be based, I'd imagine, in the UK and a little bit in Europe.
Yeah, I think most of the schedule is kind of like, I think once we do the first like 6 tournaments out in Africa, obviously where the weather's a bit better, and then we go to Thailand for a couple, and then it's like 3 weeks off, and then it starts in Europe, and then that's kind of where we are for summer. Obviously you've got a bit of a stretch where you've got the Scottish Open and you've got the British Open, which obviously would be nice to kind of aim for them. There's some big tournaments, and then they go over to Ireland for a couple co-sanctioned with the LPGA. So there is a stretch in England, but they are probably like the bigger ones on the schedule. So we'll have to see where we're at, but we can hope.
It's going to be so excited. Well, you know what you achieved last year. Anything could happen, really.
Well, yeah, I did play final Open qualifying last year as well. I got through pre-Q and got to final, and yeah, I did end up missing out by like 2, but again, it's a really good experience, and I know what to expect more this year.
Anna, of course, it's not easy making your own way on your own on a professional golfing career. You've had some help, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So Sport Aid, I've been on, I think, since I was like 13. So like they've been like a really big part of obviously kind of getting me started. And with Sport Aid as well, it isn't just the money, it's the strength and conditioning, it's the nutrition, it's physio. Like there's a lot of areas that they cover that I think when you're an athlete, it's easy to like forget. But you know, it's not just about going to the range and hitting balls all the time. It is obviously, you know, you got to do the psychological work and all that comes with it. And, you know, I think most golfers know how tricky, you know, that mental part of the game can be, and it's definitely just as important. So this year I was on the Duke Awards, so got some support from Duke as well, which was really handy. So yeah, which has definitely like allowed me to play as much as what I have this year, which has been probably like the biggest difference with COVID. I didn't get to play too much because obviously the restrictions on the island were very strict, and it was, if you left you kind of couldn't come back, so I didn't get to go play too much. And then this year I've got to just literally play, I don't know, 20 odd tournaments, and I think when you're playing that consistency, like there's no pressure on doing well, because okay, well if I do bad this week I'm playing another one in 2 days anyway, so like there's just like no pressure on it. Whereas before it's like, oh, I'm playing English Am and I'm not going to play anything for another 3 months after this, so I want to do really well. So yeah, getting to play more has helped. And yeah, it's not even just been sport aid this year. I've had a bit of help as well from Knox Group. They supported me, as well as the Knockala Charitable Trust. So yeah, I've had a few people who've been like really key in making, well, 2022 been as successful as what it was. So yeah, very grateful for that help.
And you've got the will of Peel Golf Club and the Isle of Man and all the golfers as well who'll be backing you all the way.
Yeah.
But just tell me, you know, you mentioned there about, well, it's one competition and I've got another one in 2 days' time. So you're kind of layering up experience points, you know, you're just building up. It's almost like an onion skin, isn't it, really, that you're just strengthening your approach to the competitions, aren't you, each time?
That was like my main goal this year. Like it wasn't even, you know, obviously you do your goals at the start of a year, and it wasn't actually like, okay, I want to win this, I want to win that. It was like, I just want to play so much golf that I'm just comfortable being on a card, like being on a course again with a card in my hand, like at a big tournament, because I really did just get out the habit of doing it. And I think I took for granted, you know, mum and dad ferrying me across to England and playing all these events, and being in America and being booked state to state every week, going and playing these tournaments, to then like, oh, okay, like I'm a little bit older, but COVID goes on for a couple of years, I'm a little bit older now, we didn't play college golf, like, you know, mum and dad can't take me anymore. And then it's like, oh, this all feels a bit different, this all feels a bit weird. So I was like, yeah, okay, I don't care how tired I'm getting this summer, like I'm playing like all these events and I'm gonna get comfortable with it again. And I did. So, and then, you know, the results are just a product of that. If you're comfortable in your environment, then you're always going to play a lot better.